Oh, my beautiful Audio Technica 3035 from Japan from 2001. I love you so much. Ooh, let's try that again. Ooh, one more time. And if I was any blacker, ladies and gentlemen, you might mistake me for former dictator Idi Amin. No. But without further ado, here are 3 stories that I think you might find rather enlightening. Or, in my case, lightning.
Shocking. Positively shocking.
Yes, hallelujah, it's the video show. And now, the man the BBC calls...
Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog.
Now, admittedly, this story is from October of this year from IGN, but I've actually heard recent conversations in the last few days regarding the fact that people are actually opting to buy old graphics cards for their gaming PCs because, frankly, who wants to pay nearly £3,000 or more for these Series RTX 5 graphic cards, GPUs from Nvidia? It's absolutely insane. I mean, in my cupboard, I've got or should I say wardrobe, I've got a RTX 3060, but my current setup, I'm using a 4060, and I'm happy with that. Now, apart from the intense games I sometimes play, I also have to produce videos on YouTube. And of course, the higher the graphic card setting, the more I can produce these things in like 18 minutes rather than waiting the customary half an hour or more. But to be honest, people actually going back to their old OG graphics cards like the Titan 1080p or the 1050p, that was regarded as the greatest graphics card of all time, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, might still be able to power certain games. And did you know, folks, there is a processor memory shortage at the moment around the world? Blame AI. That is the thing that is gobbling up everything at the moment. Then you got data collection centers, so call centers, businesses, servers, all need memory to keep them going, and obviously keeping up with demand for the amounts of infinite data that they collect per second. I mean, if you want the most illegal AI GPU out there, then book yourself a ticket, return obviously to China, and you can come back with a couple, maybe more, for less than half the price you would pay for them if you were going to Silicon Valley. I would recommend you watch Nexus Gamer's 3-hour documentary where he actually went out to China some months ago and managed to buy quite a few of these AI GPU cards to test out on his rig back in America. Really fascinating documentary to watch. I highly recommend you do it. But honestly, if you want to just not keep up with the Joneses and you want to play, or you're happy to play even a new game like Silent Hill F, which I'm going to show you very shortly, folks, because even this surprised me. I shouldn't be that surprised. So look, Silent Hill F came out not too long ago to fairly critical acclaim, but we're not looking at its performance as a game, but rather its performance on the playing field of hardware. So again, sorry that this is not big enough for you to see at the moment. I'll blow it up for you so you've got a better look at it. But system requirements, Windows 64, again, who doesn't use 64 as the operating system because it's the best. It's the best for everything, isn't it? 32, who does that anymore? That's I'll call it the Windows Vista era. But the recommended requirements, Windows 11 or more. If you're AMD or Intel, those are the specs right there. But amazingly, when it comes to the graphics cards, a 2080 or 2060 or AMD Radeon 6800 XT. So the fact they're highlighting a 2080, because I'm going to assume that Silent Hill F maybe isn't the most graphically demanding game, but you'll find that you could make a sacrifice if you still have an old GPU and it's able to work on a modern day game. You would have to take a hit in the frame rate and maybe the picture quality as well, but as long as you're able to play it, I mean, 1440p is the sweet spot, and a lot of the RTX cards in the 2000 series, obviously upwards, will support 1440p, maybe even the ones before that in the 1000 series. Some of them should be able to power up and get you a 1440p almost resolution, which I think is pretty good bang for your buck. But the other story I wanted to talk about today, folks, well, before we get to the last one, and I thought this one was just absolutely hilarious. Grace Randolph having a meltdown because there's only maybe 5 or less MCU characters in the lineup for Avengers Doomsday. Yes, I made a video during the week about this. Well, not about Grace Randolph, actually, Miss Halitosis herself, but this is doing the rounds. I thought it was hilarious for me to give you a quick reaction. So Mr. Grizzy, really fantastic YouTuber, actually. I'm not into the habit of really sort of shouting out other channels, but he makes exceptionally funny content where he pulls out clips of people that pretend not to say something, but they actually said it, or they just 180 just shill for something so hard that it becomes cringeworthy to look at. As is the case with the god-awful freeze frame of Miss Halitosis Breath herself, Grace Randolph. Do you think this woman can cook or clean her own ass? I don't think so. She needs a maid from the Philippines to do that for her. But listen to what she says. I thought this was absolutely funny. And yeah, believe it or not, Grace is 100% serious about what she talks about here. This bitch, by the way, blocked me on X. For what reason? I don't know. Maybe because, I'm free to disagree with a stupid opinion that she has. Remember, this woman was like Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the exact opposite, actually. She started off really fat and then she lost all this weight to look slim. But do you think any potential boyfriend would put up with her? I think she's actually gay, to be honest. Since she's the biggest ally of LGBT and all that crap. But have listened to this, folks.
Gays. And I don't understand why there's nobody at Marvel running around waving that flag, saying, what about my girls and my gays?
What, waving the pride flag? I'm pretty sure Marvel has done that and they got so much flack for it. Marvel knows that men sells the brand. They know the biggest readership of the old school Marvel comics are men. I've talked about it ad nauseum on this channel.
What are they going to be excited about? Like, there's nothing really here for us.
Nobody cares what you think.
All right, brace yourselves, everyone, because Grace Randolph says she's about to cook on this one.
Okay, I'm going to cook, and then, of course, at the very end, you may join in, and we're going to have a discussion.
Oh, of course, but, you know, her loyal supporters in the chat will obviously stick up for her. But she goes into a really strange rant about the lack of women, diversity. Grace, I've got some news for you, love. Nobody wants to see these hideous female creations in Avengers Doomsday. Nobody wants to see Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau, let alone her effing mother, Maria Rambeau, played by Lashana Lynch. Two insufferable diverse actresses with equally insufferable names, and with the latter, she's in a video game that's coming out probably next year, so best to avoid that while we can.
She-Hulk! Where the heck is She-Hulk?
Okay, so feminist and LGBTQ ally Grace Randolph is, let's just say, a little bit triggered due to the lack of MCU characters announced for Avengers Doomsday, and that there are too many white men.
Are we just going to talk about...
Did she actually say
the
this?
fact that Loki is on the Avengers and there's like no women in this freaking movie? Misogyny increased in 2025. It just looks like a men's locker room of boringness. All right, so I do think it's
I tell you what, Grace, here's what's not boring for me. If you get an old school character like Scarlet Witch, or Dazzler. I've always said for the long time, why don't we get Dazzler in a live action Marvel movie? It's never going to happen because that character is very sexy by design. I've spoken about that before. But oh no, we're not going to get that. Do you know what I harken back to? An era when you have young upcoming actresses who would love to be objectified. There's always this argument that they get forced into it. But Cassandra Peterson, who plays Elvira, Mistress of the Dark,
Yeah, you better watch out. You could put some of these eyes out with them things.
did she ever complain about being objectified? God, no. She might have some awful political takes off screen, but oh my God, she's a treasured sex symbol, that woman. And by the way, Grace, if you're so upset about lack of women in the Avengers Doomsday lineup, have a look at these premium quality statues of very sexy females that we should have had in the MCU a long time ago, but guess what? We were robbed of that completely. So feast your eyes on these, love, and cry me a river much later on. Now, a press event is happening today, supposedly. Well, it has to at Brazil CCXP. The Supergirl panel will be up in a few hours from the time I record this video and it's uploaded. But the debut of the trailer is for journalists only. So again, they'll be putting their cell phones in a special box in the room before they give their written impressions. I will not actually make a video covering the written impressions. I want to see the actual debut trailer of Kara Zor-El and then give you my impressions as we watch it in real time. I think that's the best way to do it. But just to show you quickly regarding the costume, which I thought was pretty nice actually. I don't know if they're going to Nobody wants to see Crypto the Wonder Dog. He's an absolute see you next Tuesday, and unfortunately we're going to get more of him in this bloody film, which I'm not looking forward to. But let's just take it back one here. Now, that's a really nice close-up of the costume right here, which it is comic book accurate. I've got Supergirl right here. If I can pull this up, if you pardon the phrase. Will you let me blow it up? So, yeah, it's not bad. You can see the gilding in her boots at the bottom. And obviously the belt looks pretty cool. She's got the angry face. She's not very big on top, is she? But I guess that's what she is by design, I suppose. But let's have a look back here. But I would say that Ms. Alcock has a pretty nice ample chest going on there, if you know what I mean. Obviously, there's a fan taking the picture. They're very excited about seeing this. I think a lot of people are excited about, well, not excited. Maybe they're a bit more curious as to what this film is going to look like in terms of, well, the trailer, and I'm going to say this much, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So all I am saying is, Warner Brothers, when you debut the Supergirl trailer, it had better hit a home run. Honestly, it needs to, because with the disappointment of the Superman trailer from James Gunn and the subsequent film, I think people, you know, this might be a sign, especially with what Warner Brothers are going through now with the possible acquisition from Netflix. And that's what we have there, folks. But there's nothing more to show you. It says 10 of 11, but I can't get any more photos to come up there. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is just a roundup of some of the news items. Like I said, the video gaming one at the top of this video is an old one, but like I've said, I've just seen recent chit chatter this week alone regarding the fact that people are looking or going back to their wardrobes and pulling out an old GPU and using that instead, because people don't have money these days. The cost of living is getting higher and higher, and oh my god, and I'm on fire, folks. And Grace Randolph, well, never mind, Grace, keep making the cringe takes, love. That's why there are people way better than you in the hemisphere of geekdom who have way more subscribers and people who follow them because they don't want to hear your shitty takes. But Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, if I get a breakdown from Brazil CCXP later on today, regarding what was discussed. I'll make a video for that for tomorrow, maybe for today, if possible. Thank you once again for everybody who has subscribed to me this week alone. I've seen quite the uptick in people who have found my channel. Thank you for your kind comments. I promise I will respond very, very shortly. And on that one, if you were me and if I were you, I'll catch you catching me for the return of the next video.